ladies first. So why? This is what I want to talk about. Why ladies first? And why women first? Why give a woman priority? Why everybody wants to empower women? Why everyone wants a woman to be given a chance in the society? This is a question that women are never asking themselves. And tonight I want to talk about it. And I want to help you as a woman to understand, do you really need that space that everyone is fighting to give to you? Or do you already have it? This is a question. So let me get straight to the point. Guys, I'm talking about an independent woman. What exactly it means, what an independent woman can do to make her life better on this earth. Something that maybe no one has ever told you, or maybe you heard it from somewhere else, but it is always good, even if you've ever heard it from somewhere, it is always better to hear something that empowers you and gives you the knowledge, because knowledge is power. Molly Kaunya, I can see you. Thanks for coming. This 810 from Saudi, I can see you. Sophie Kemwa, Mary Shi, I can see you tuned in Bahrain. Thank you for coming. We are in the same country. So I will start with a short story to help you understand what I'm going to talk about today. You see, I want to talk to Africans who are watching here, and maybe part of the Southern Asia and East Asia, or maybe West Asia a little bit, and some parts of North America or maybe South America, I'm not so sure, parts of this world. You see, I call them the marginalized community or society or countries that these people have termed as the third world country. And I want to use Africa as an example. You see, every European country today is fighting to empower an African child. When anything like charity comes up, a name that appears in the topic or in capital letters is Africa. If today somebody will be talking about a charity, organizations, charity, UN organization, United Nations, WFP. When you talk about these organizations, the charity organizations, Red Cross, what comes in somebody's mind is Africa. I want you to get my point. I'm going to talk about an independent woman, but I want you to get my point correctly first. Every time people talk about help, people talk about charity, people talk about donation, everybody sees Africa. During the pandemic, there was a time I read on newspaper, the GDN Gulf Daily News in Bahrain reported that Kenya donated some foodstuffs to India when India was being swept away by COVID-19. And I saw people making jokes and making memes. In fact, the Indian community making memes, describing how disgraceful it is for their country to be in a position where they are getting support from Kenya. Do you know why that was there? Because when support comes from Bahrain, nobody makes those memes. Nobody questions. When support comes from the US to India, nobody questions. But when a support comes from Kenya, somebody questions. Why? Because the African country and an African child has been labeled as a lesser child. A child who needs somebody to support for them to see the top there. And the reason why this has always remained in that capacity, you see, most of the African countries are now celebrating over 50 years of independence, 50 years of becoming a man, or 50 years of becoming a woman, an independent woman. Okay, I'm getting there because I'm talking about a woman, independent woman. So most of the African countries are now celebrating over 50 years of independence. But when you talk about Africa, even if you go to a conference where people from different continents are meeting and you start talking about Africa, what comes in the mind of this person is poverty. What comes in the mind of this person, they need help. What comes in the mind of this person, they don't have clothes. What comes in the mind of this person is bushes, forests, homes that are not connected with internet, homes that lack electricity. They see homes that are in the jungle where there's no roads. But you go to Kenya today, you'll find out that there are roads, there are electricity, homes are connected with internet all over. But now, let's leave alone the African child, because I was trying to bring you to this so that you understand what I'm going to talk about here. So that women who are watching here, and also men who are watching here, who have got sisters, wives, moms, cousins, and also friends who are women, you can go and help your sister, your mother, your auntie, your grandma, that young lady who is there, who doesn't know what's happening across the world. Everyone talks about women empowerment. But the question is, are these people really empowering you? What does it mean to be an independent woman? There is this independent African country back there that is still suffering in poverty. But every kind of a first world country sends donation to this country, even though they call themselves independent. Kenya is an independent country that is governed by its own, governments, and they have the law that protects their land. And in fact, when they choose, like for example, there's a time America was really pushing Kenya to accept gayism and this same-sex marriage, but we said no, because that is not our culture. The president stood and said that is not our culture and we cannot promote it, which means Kenya is independent. So now, I'm coming back to you as a woman. Look, you call yourself an independent woman. How independent are you? Is my first question I want to ask you. Look at your country. I want you to relate these two things and know the meaning of being independent. Look at your country. It is called an independent country. In fact, Kenya celebrated, I think, 56th year of independence or something. But do you think they are independent? Do you think Kenya can run its affairs without the West? Do you think Kenya as a country is capable of running its affair without the help of the countries that colonized it, like the UK? Do you think we can run our affairs without the loans? So, as an independent woman, so much of us women here, our sisters here, call themselves independent. What makes you as a woman independent? Is it because you can buy a shoes for yourself? Is it because you can pay your own rent? Is it because you went through studies and you graduated and you got a job and you're working in an office, you get salary every month, the end month? Is that what makes you an independent woman? You see, before you start looking at yourself, before you start seeing what you can do as a woman, you've got to ask yourself, if I remove Jane, Mary, Peter, Samson, Emmanuel, what can I do as a person? If I remove so and so in my life, how is my life going to be? This is what African countries have not been asking themselves. If at all we remove the United States, if at all we remove the China, what can we do as a country? And this is what has made mostly 90% of African countries not to even taste the fruits of its independence. And this is what happens with most of the women today. You have the choice. The colony, the British Emperor have run away from your life, and you have your life you are independent. You have the right to govern your own life. But you are not looking at a picture asking yourself that now, I was depending on John. I was depending on my parents. I was depending on my aunties. I was depending on men to feed me, to pay my rent. Now that I have a job of my own, if my boyfriend is not there, what can I do? And what can I not do? Now that I have my own job, what am I capable of doing without that boyfriend? What am I capable of doing without my parents? We have most of the independent women who have even turned against their own parents because they feel that now I don't have to ask my parents for a permission to go somewhere. because I am independent. In fact, I'm the one feeding my parents. But remember, the Bible tells us that you have to respect your parents. It doesn't give us the limit of respect. It has never ever said that once you become 18 and now you can pay your own rent and you can even feed your parents, you stop respecting them. So independence, as a woman, independence comes at a cost. Yesterday I did a video and I told women like this: what an independent woman needs is only two things. You need a man who is supportive, or you don't need any man in your life. And this is how I want to dismantle this. I want to put it in the plain language. You know, these videos we do for 1 minute, sometimes you get it and you feel like, oh, this is supporting me, and you cheer and you put a comment, you say, oh, I love your videos, because you feel that video is supporting you. But people don't go deep into understanding the meanings of these videos sometimes. As an independent woman, you need to ask yourself one question: do you matter? Do you matter? What women have never known is that they matter. I wonder every time why women have to allow some men to put some table somewhere to discuss how to empower them. Who told you as a woman you were born lesser than a man? Who told these women across the world that they were born lesser than a man? That men have to sit around a table to formulate a process or a procedure of empowering you. Who told women that you are lesser than men? Who told you that? You see, Africans have never realized that they have the power, they have opportunity, they have the right to empower themselves. And that's why we have always depended on people that we are even far much beyond. See, Africa has got all the minerals, all the raw materials, everything that is needed. Fertile land, good climate. They have national parks. Some of them, like Kenya, have a national park in the capital city. They have, they have bright people. They have schools. They have everything that it takes. But still, 50 years after independence, they still depend on loans. Woman, 20 years, you have been elevated to a position of becoming an independent woman. Why do you need some men to go and table chairs somewhere to formulate a formula or a process of empowering you? Woman, you were born just the same way a man was born. You went to the same school the men went. You sat in the same classes with these men. You were taught with the same teachers. You went to colleges, to campuses. You went through the same process. And then when you come out of the universities or the colleges, or maybe, polytechnics, or even after school, I don't even care whether you went to school or not, but you were born just the same way as a man was born. You need a man to sit and now advise you that, you know what? We need to give you some chances to compete amongst yourself, to come to parliament, or to get a representation, to be heard. Who told women that they are lesser than men? Who? How and what? Sometimes, I think, I used to tell a friend of mine that, I love to be on social media, but sometimes I feel like there's something in me that when I will tell it, it might land me into trouble, because there are so many stupid things happening across the world and people are not seeing. We are just following it blindly. It's not that we are foolish. We just follow things blindly because we want to please others, because we think the law, defends or maybe keeps us away from talking these facts. I ask a simple question: who told women that they are lesser than men? An independent woman, you need to know 4 things that I'm going to talk about. Number 1, women, from now, you need to know that you matter. Once this gets into your head, you matter. There's no man that can be born without you. There's no man that is alive today that came from another man. I've never known. I've never had. Today in this generation, I see even some other men doing some operations to get pregnant, to get a baby. That is an operation. God created. Creation is a natural thing. You don't have to go for some operation to insert some hormones into you to recreate. Every man that is standing today, including me, we came from a woman. So a woman must understand that they matter. Before understanding that you matter, men will still rule you. Men will still make you to feel like, when I'm an independent woman, when I have a job, it is men creating this kind of a mind in women, and women don't know. Men makes you feel that when you have a job, you can drive, because you see, you know what gets into your mind? You feel like it is only men who work. It's only men who work in the offices. It is only men that drive. It is only men who can buy food for the family. So when a woman starts to drive, men have put it in your mind. You now feel like you are above other women, which is not true. Your mind has been made to feel like if you drive, it is something like it's a supernatural thing. It is something that is unique. It is not unique. You have been made to feel so. Just like Africans have been made, including me, to feel like when an African goes out there and maybe produces, like for example, if you see one African country having a factory that manufactures mobile phone like this, like for example, Rwanda is the only country in Africa right now producing mobile phones. When an African country produces a mobile phone, it becomes a global news. Do you know why? Because we as Africans, we have accepted to be lesser than other continents. So when a woman drives a car, she feels like, she's authoritative, she's independent. I'm telling you, there's nothing like independent woman. It has been put in you by men to make you feel lesser, so that when you drive, you feel like you are in a higher height. You are not. We are all same. So number one point that women have to understand, you matter. And if you matter, driving should not be a thing of the man. Providing for a family should not be a thing of the man. Building a house should not be a thing of the man. Going under a car and repairing that car as a mechanic should not be a thing of the man. Today, when you find a woman mechanic or an engineer, drawing houses and standing there and instructing people that, you see, this level, I want it here. This lintel is bent. We have to destroy it and bring it down. If there's a woman doing that today, she will be in a global news. Why would that happen? Why should that happen? It is not a way of empowering you. It is a way to put something in your mind that you are a lesser person. This is the only secret people don't know. This is the only secret the world don't know. Some people, women, some countries, the third world countries, they have been in that position for a long time, because when they try to do something big, it becomes a global news and they see themselves as lesser people. So they even fear to put their legs forward to do these things. The same things happen to women. And it is us men that have made you to think that when you become independent, you are now a supernatural woman. You are not. You are not. Number two, being independent as a woman, it doesn't all talk about your pockets. It doesn't mean that you have a job. It doesn't mean that you're driving. Number two, the most important thing for a woman who tells people that she is an independent woman is a woman who is enlightened to know what is good and what is bad. You see, you can be a woman working, all right? They call it 9-to-5 job, but you're being paid salary less than a man who is working the same job. But when you go back home, you are telling people that you are independent because you have a job of 9-to-5. Are you okay here? You ain't independent. A man should not employ you and pay you less than his brother just because you're a woman. it means you are not enlightened. Independence comes with knowledge. Independence, I'm using Africa because I come from Africa, and most of the African countries, in fact 98% of the African countries were colonized, and from colony they got independence. And from independence that we are talking about today, African countries are still colonized today. And that is the same woman I'm talking about here. I compare women to an African child. A child that when the people come, they take picture of him, dancing in naked, dancing in rain, in muddy places, naked, and they take it abroad and they tell people that, you see, these are African, see how they are happy. Riches, you don't need to be rich, you just need to be happy because, see, I went through the same life and I know how hard it is to go through the same life. It is by grace that we dance under the rains and we don't get sick. It is by grace of God that mosquitoes surround us. Some of us could not even afford to buy super nets to cover ourselves. But we used to get mosquito bite every night. But malaria didn't take our lives. It is by grace. So when somebody is telling you that you are independent as a woman, but you are not enlightened to know what comes with independency, you are just trying to be pleased and also to please other people because you are driving. That doesn't make you an independent woman.